You're listening to the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. Be sure to follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find out more about Dr. Michelle at drmichellewatson.com. That's drmichellewatson.com. Here now is your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.
Hello and welcome back to the Dad Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, and I welcome you again today, Dad, especially if you want to add more tools to your fathering toolbox. Then I just want you to know you've come to the right place. Well, you know the grid that guides our conversation every week, which is simply on your mark, get set, go. So, Dad, envision yourself standing side by side other dads getting ready to run your fathering race this week, and I'm on the sidelines as your coach cheering you on and saying on your mark, get set, go. On your mark is the topic or the theme. Get set as I'm going to fill that in with stories and stats. And go is always your practical action steps so that you can put your love for your daughters and your sons into action this week. Today on the program, I have an awesome guest coach joining me named Vanessa Benavente. Vanessa is a native of Peru and began performing at age 15. She came to the U.S. to study engineering, but kept singing and acting on the side. Upon graduating, she moved to Spain to study under renowned acting coach Juan Carlos Correza. And she performed live in theaters from Lima to Madrid to Miami to Los Angeles. And while in LA, she won the role of Mother Mary in The Chosen. She recently finished shooting her first lead in a feature film called At the Gates. She has two beautiful daughters. One is 4.5 years old, the other is 9 months. And we are excited to have her here today. Welcome, Vanessa Benavente.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, what a joy to meet you in person and just to be able to thank you. And as you know, I begin crying just thanking you for the way that you have brought your gifts to the screen to bless me, to bless all of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you for sharing your tears. It's a delight to see how our show continues to impact people from all walks of life and all over the world. It is a gift. It really is.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you've been given a gift in the process, and that's some of what I want to ask you about today. So on your mark, the title for today is When a Daughter Knows She's Worth Being Chosen. So you all can tell, a little play on words. But as I've been preparing for this interview, Vanessa, I love just thinking about that word. I've really been pondering that, is what it's like to be chosen for a role, what it's like to be chosen to be a mother, what it's like to be chosen to portray Mary, the mother of Jesus, on the screen. And so I just want to start there and just say, what is it like to be chosen? I'll just ask that first before motherhood, but just what has it been like to be chosen for this role?
Well, I think, in general, to be chosen, it definitely gives us that feeling we're always looking for, of feeling special, feeling like we matter, like our actions have meaning, have repercussions. I think we're all in some level looking for that, even if you're working on screen or if you're not working on screen and you are working at a bank. I think, we all take pride in either our work or in our personal lives. With our spouse, we like to be seen and we like to feel special, and that I think is at the core of our beings, of our hearts. Yes. That longing that we want connection and we want to be seen, right?
Yes, which is a really big deal for us as girls, and I think sometimes it's the dudes, the duds, the players that say to a girl, hey, I'll choose you. Yeah. But he has an agenda. And I think that's why I want to champion dads to understand that legitimate need, like you said, to be special, to be seen, to be chosen. And dads, that's one of your best ways to offset your daughter's vulnerability to taking the bite from something or someone, right?
I feel like especially when talking about young girls, because I have, like you said, my two kids are girls. So building up their self-esteem is crucial. It's, empowering them, really telling them things other than, oh, you look so cute. It's, in our house, it's always like, wow, you did a great job. You worked really hard. That was very smart. I like that opinion. You really came up. Did you come up with it on your own? How did you think about this? And, we really try to encourage our children to. We listen to their opinions, even, because a 4-year-old sometimes can come up with some
has
wild
a lot
things.
of opinions. The firstborn.
And has a lot of opinions. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a firstborn girl, so I understand.
Oh, my gosh. They say terrible twos, but 4-year-olds, I mean, wow. But, yeah, and it's sometimes it's tough. I always say, we want our children to be obedient and behave, but we also want them to grow up and be go-getters and
yes.
feel empowered. We can't have both.
Come on, girl.
It's if you really want your daughter to be a woman who really goes out and it's fearless, then you have to create that woman from when she's a tiny human.
I love that you
and
brought
respect
that up.
their opinions, just as we do as adults.
And it may not be an opinion you like, but I say if you don't let your daughter
Totally.
use her voice and have her voice at home, yes, how will she have it out in the world? And I love that you're saying that, because we
Yes.
didn't even compare notes, but we're both saying
yes.
as seasoned women that we look back at that generation and say, listen to Vanessa, Dad. She's saying, yeah, I'm in the trenches living this out. How does your husband respond to the pushback from your daughter?
Well, my husband is a wonderful dad. I mean, I take notes from him most of the time because he is so sensitive to my daughter's needs. Sometimes even more than I am, because sometimes, especially after I've had my second baby, I'm either nursing the baby or just taking care of the baby, and stress levels can be high.
Yes.
And, in comes my daughter with this great idea, and I say, not at the moment. I need a minute. And, of course, she doesn't take no for an answer. And so what do I do? And patience is not something I was born with. I need to work very diligently at it. But I'm getting a lot better. And it's just all about remembering what I want to accomplish, what the end game is.
Yes.
And it's, I want to be kind to my child. I don't want to snap at her. I don't want to bully her or threaten her. Those are not the tools I want to use. And I have something very specific in mind that I do want to use. So it's my mantra almost, like,
yes,
she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing. She just needs, she feels like she needs this at this moment. So my husband, like I said, much more patient. And so he will go down at her level, talk to her, try to reason with her. Or if that doesn't pan out, then we just kindly take her to another room.
Redirect.
Or redirect.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
But in general, I think that is our approach to things, is trying to listen to her, validate what she's feeling. Most of the time, she'll scrape herself very, very lightly, and she'll be like, ouch, that really hurt. And we're like, oy. Yeah, no, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah.
We're like,
and she's
really?
needing that attention in
Exactly.
some way. And I love that you're talking about the differences, Vanessa, between you and your husband. At times, I think sometimes it's important for dads to understand your wife is oftentimes maxed, and you may be too, but you bring a different energy to your daughter. And when you show up and let her know she's special and seen, that is synonymous with her knowing she's worth your time, worth being chosen. So let's now kind of segue back. We'll go back and forth to being chosen. What was that like? Take us back to what that was like to know that you had, you said won that role to be Mother Mary, another mom of a son, of a child.
Well, it was incredible. Back then the show wasn't what it is right now, and so, but I had the feeling this was, of course, big enough role that they would be looking for someone. Their search was important. It wasn't just
Fill
someone
the spot.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with my audition, and I actually, was expecting them to call me back at least for a second audition or to meet producers or to meet the director. And I never heard back from them. It went 5 days went by, and I still hadn't heard anything. And I thought, what exactly do I have to do in this town to get a job? I didn't know what was happening. And I think by day 5 or 6, I got the call that I had booked it and that I got it.
No second.
And within 5 days, I was in Texas. I actually had to take my daughter, but because back then my first daughter was around 10 months old.
Okay.
And I was nursing her, and my husband was working full time, so he couldn't just take off work and look after her. So thankfully, my mom, she lives with us.
Okay.
So we are extremely fortunate to have, my mom babysit her.
Yes.
We all three of us went. It wasn't easy, but we really took a leap of faith, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Like I said, the show wasn't what it was right now, but I could sense there was something special about this material. Even from reading the first audition scenes, I could see Mary had a sense of humor. I mean, I had never seen Mary with a sense of humor.
I love that.
And it's beautiful because we relate as much to vulnerability as we do to humor. There is something very powerful about, I mean, I don't want to say comedy, because comedy is like, it sounds so large, like telling jokes and stuff, but humor, having a sense of humor and looking at things lightly or with levity is so powerful. We sometimes overlook it.
And usually when we laugh, I find we look at someone else. Are they laughing too? So it's this powerful bonding experience.
Yes, because we want to share. When we're having a good time and laughing about things, like you say, we look around and it's like you want to connect with someone who's also laughing at the same thing, and you're like, yes, you get it too. And going back to what works with my daughter, laughter and humor work wonders with her. Like when she's like trying to get something and she's not getting what she wants or whatever. Sometimes my husband, because he's the funny one. He is much more drawn to like making comments that are funny, right?
Or funny voices.
Or funny voices.
To kind of
funny voices is also my purview.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
But just, a comment that takes you off guard and kind of like, is funny and it surprises you, that's him. And so he'll sometimes do that with my daughter, and can't help but laugh. And so now you have a door. You have an opening.
I love that.
To, what do you say we go and do this other thing?
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, wow, that was so easy.
Work?
How did that
Dad
work?
remembered that what you bring to your daughter is different and unique and special. We're talking about your daughter being special, but Vanessa and I are saying, dads, you matter. You're special.
Absolutely.
And when your daughter is having that interaction with you, I mean, I've read a statistic that says that a joy exchange between two people is 6 cycles per second. I have no idea how they ever quantified that in a study, but how powerful to have joy exchanged. So Dad, you know that I love to have you have a go step, some action step, one thing as a result of hearing this conversation that you'll put into action. That might be it. That if you're in a stressful time with your daughter, if she's 4 or 14 or 24, that maybe just remember how important it is to look for a place to bring levity through laughter.
Yeah.
And Vanessa, you didn't even know this, but the second book I wrote for dads of daughters is 5 L's of how a dad can lead. The first one is lead her to laugh.
Oh my gosh,
and it's questions that dads can ask.
Amazing.
Like, what item of clothing would you love to see me get rid of today? I'm like, let her make fun of you.
Yes.
And have a way to lighten it. Because when my dad would say to me, Michelle, you just need to lighten up, I hated that because I couldn't just shift to that. But if he did something funny, it automatically happened. So I love that you even brought that up to just mention that your husband is good at that and that's what he brings. Well, we'll take a quick break here, and when we come back, I'll be talking with my new friend, Vanessa Benavente. We'll be right back.
Are you a dad who has ever desired a deeper connection with your daughter, but haven't known how to go about it? Let's Talk, Conversation Starters for Dads and Daughters is the very resource you need. Dr. Michelle wrote it with you dads in mind. This book will support you with scripted questions, equip you to decode your daughter, and inspire you with stories of other dads and daughters. Don't wait any longer to be the hero you want to be and that your daughter needs you to be. So, to let the talking begin, head on over to drmichellewatson.com/books and order your copy today. This book will become a favorite in your fathering toolbox and will give you the answers you've been looking for. That's drmichellewatson.com/books. Now, back to the Dad Whisperer podcast.
Welcome back. I'm here today with Vanessa Benavente, and I love that we can continue this conversation as she shares what it's like when a daughter knows that she's worth being chosen by her dad. Okay, now I want to go back to this idea of engineering and a little bit maybe of even how your father or father figures entered into your process of starting on the engineering track but loving acting and singing. And I think sometimes dads have a vision for their daughters in one way and would love to see that maybe walked out. And here you change tracks. I'd love to hear how your dad or father figures process that with you.
Well, both my mom and my dad are engineers. So there was something also about me knowing what it was about and kind of thinking, well, I'm good at math and I kind of like solving puzzles and coming up with solutions to problems. And so that is, I think, what drew me to engineering, even though both of them had been actors as well in college. Yeah.
So it's in your
blood.
And
I had no idea until I took my first acting class in high school. And all of a sudden my mom goes, oh, yeah, by the way,
I forgot to tell you.
She told me this story. I'm like, what? And then she comes out with these pictures of my mom, because my mom and my dad divorced when I was very, very young.
Okay.
She kind of, it wasn't like she just had pictures of my dad lying around. They were usually hidden.
Got it.
Of course. So, but she starts pulling out these pictures that I had never seen of them on stage and things. They would go around even touring the country. I was like, how did I not ever know this? It was very surprising. And I think my mom actually would have wanted to maybe go into it professionally if she hadn't been struggling at the time. Her family was extremely poor. And so she saw a career in engineering as something that was a way out, definitely.
Solid,
yes,
predictable.
Exactly. And she kind of did the right thing in that respect. And when it came to me, it was my turn to decide. I was living in Peru at the time. So there was a lot of the way acting worked over there wasn't a career that you could. It wasn't really a career. People kind of like just fell. How do you say it?
Like it wasn't even an option.
You didn't have a degree in acting that you could go to school for. People would just kind of like. Learned by doing.
Yes.
There was some production on TV, mostly like telenovela kind of thing. They weren't great, and so it really wasn't a career path that was. I mean, it's not really a solid career path in this country,
even now.
But at least there is a union that helps you. There are certain things established that are much better here than they are there. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go do the sensible thing, get a degree in something that I can later find a job.
Right.
And then maybe I can still do it as a hobby in the weekends or, on the side. But then I moved to the States. And
was your dad part of that conversation ever?
My dad, he wasn't thrilled about me doing acting.
Okay.
but he never really expressed it in so many ways. He was a little bit like, well, remember you have to focus on your studies because, you should probably start looking for an internship now, because he saw that I was, instead of doing internships at a very early stage, I was still singing and dancing. And
He saw you had the bug.
Acting, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, maybe we could, start focusing on getting an internship and things like that, because that's really going to be good for you down the road, in engineering. I'm like, yeah, I should do that. And so...
see, that's what a lot of dads can relate to what you're sharing, because they will say to their daughters, let's do the sensible thing.
Exactly.
But I love your story, Vanessa, because you're sharing that all of us that have seen you as playing Mary, the Mother of Jesus, it's obvious you have a gift and a calling.
Thank you.
This isn't just something you do. You're bringing your whole self. And you've been a young mother with a young daughter as you're playing a teenage mother all the way up, And so your gift is truly there. And I don't say that just to build up your ego, but to say, I bear witness. When someone has a gift, right, it touches our heart, it touches our soul, and that's how I've been touched by your gift. So I'm thinking, what would you say now to dads that maybe not wanting their daughter to go in the less, than predictable route? What would you say to them now, looking back?
It's tough because we struggle with that also with our kids, thinking, because we never encourage people to go into the arts. It sounds bad, but it's because it's hard, and it's not that it's hard and you shouldn't do it because it's hard. It's because if this is not something that you cannot stop thinking about 24/7, if it's not something that you are going to, like you say, throw your soul into, it's already tough enough. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of things that are not necessarily conducive to good mental health. And so
lots of rejection.
Lots. And so if your heart isn't in it, then go do something else, because it really will be more worthwhile if you go into a different career path. But if you do have something in your heart that is telling you so loudly that this is what you want to do with your life, then you will find a way. Maybe not necessarily in acting, or maybe you start in acting and you find something else along the way.
Yeah.
But creatively in the arts, it definitely is something that you struggle with a long time until you find a break, until you find your way. And so, yes, I understand that people might have, might tell their daughters, don't do this, stay away from this. But
it's
at the
too
same
risky.
time, exactly.
It's less predictable.
At the same time, I would say, if you know that their heart is in it, if you know that they will move heaven and earth to accomplish things in the arts, then it is a great way to open up their hearts to a profession that is definitely creates connections between human beings, and it's something that we desperately need in this world, really.
So I love that you brought up the word even connection, Vanessa, because I often am talking to dads about connecting with their daughter's heart, and you just brought up both those words.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're saying, Dad, if that's your daughter's bent, her love, she comes alive.
Exactly.
The lights turn on in her eyes when she's doing that. You're saying, Dad, connect with her.
Yeah.
Because she may do it with or without you. Why not do it with your support?
And there's something very powerful when you, because, especially when you have more than one child, you start seeing things in these children that are definitely different for each of them.
Right.
And so you can tell, like you say, when their eyes light up, it's so clear that they have something in them that is just calling them to do something creative. And it doesn't really have to be what they end up doing the rest of their life. But
Right.
that is a way to achieve or a path to what they will eventually become.
Yes, I
Right?
love
Because
that.
maybe they like writing, and so they'll start writing. Maybe that leads to them being a writer, or maybe not. But exploring
Yes.
that side of them will make them more round and whole human beings.
Yes. I once read a study about samurai warriors, like the top tier of warriors in these different cultures, and how at the age of 5 they choose them, but they don't learn anything about how to fight, how to carry a sword for many years. They're first training them in the arts and in different, I would say, different activities or different skill sets that you would think have nothing to do with being a warrior, but all of that is developing and making them more well-rounded.
Yeah.
And so I think really you're speaking from personal experience and saying, dads, do whatever it takes to support whatever makes your daughter come alive. Look at the lights in her eyes. Okay, I want to switch gears just a little bit and ask you now back to your role in the show of playing Mary, the mother of Jesus, because one of the scenes that moved me so much was when Jesus had come back to the tent, the disciples are arguing, and you as that dialed in mother, and I'm always talking to dads about being a dialed in dad, but you went over and washed his feet. I mean, oh my goodness, it so touched me. And then you were all there around the fire, and they wanted to hear your stories of when he was born. And I wrote out one of the things that you had said there, where you said, I had to clean him off when he was born. He needed to be cleaned. He was cold and he was crying, and he needed my help, a teenager from Nazareth. And I thought about you wove that throughout kind of the storyline, is that your son still needed you. Even at 33, you're going, he needed me.
Yeah.
What has that been like as a mother to step into that
Oh
role?
my gosh. That is one of the episodes that I feel like one of my favorite episodes, not only to shoot, but I think it encompasses a lot of what the show is about. Just, hearing from this mature woman. You've never heard Mary talk in these terms. You've never heard Mary talk in terms of 'cause basically she's talking about her frustrations. And as a mom, I love that he's doing these things, and I'm proud of him. I just don't know how to help him.
Yeah, and where I fit.
And where I fit in
Yeah.
all this. It's quite sad for her to all of a sudden turn around and say, wow, he doesn't need me anymore. And it's something that both moms and dads have wrote to me about. It is amazing how, because, a lot of parents have their children now going off to college, and they, the empty nest feeling.
Yeah, they're not looking back.
They're not looking back. And especially, college age kids, they think they know it all, because I know I did. I thought I knew it all. It's like, I'll be fine. I can take care of myself.
I don't need you to speak into my life anymore.
Right. And so you are left there with all these emotions of wanting to care for your child and help them in some way, and they might not be letting you anymore, right?
Even at 4.5 sometimes.
Even at 4.5.
Mom and Dad, I got this.
It's tough to deal with that. And so I feel like it's so beautiful when you hear her speak in these terms, because you're like, yes, it's so relatable. It's what moms and dads go through. It's universal.
And so then when people watch that on the screen, they're going, me too.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel right now. And you said people write you about that. And I think dads sometimes, again, may take it personal, like moms too, of course. Like, why do you not need me anymore? But isn't that what you've raised them? To be empowered and confident and ready to take on the world. Your deposit, Dad, will stay in your daughter forever. Am I right?
Yes, that's so true. That is so true. I always think of it in a way like our children, we are just borrowing them for a while. We're borrowing them, and we are training them to become these adults that are well-rounded, that are respectful to other people, that have the tools, or at least a little bit of the tools to manage their emotions, or manage the world around them and how they make how the world around them makes them feel, how to behave with other people who are maybe older or younger than they are. It's all these tools we're giving them, and then at some point we just have to let them out in the world, and that is the scariest thing.
But you have to.
You have to.
Or you will have, I would say, a stunted growth daughter.
Of course.
And I think the other thing that just comes to my mind as we're talking, Vanessa, is that if you as a dad are kind of, even in your heart, pulling her back, like, don't leave me, choose me, don't choose that thing that you love, or looking out, that will have a negative impact. So, Dad, you want to release your daughter, right, to take on the world. She will take you with her. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. I could keep talking with you more
just
and more.
one more thing. It's like, I'm talking a lot about emotions and things, but also, by all means, teach her skills like changing a tire and fixing the sink. I mean, I would have loved for my dad to do that, but my dad, I don't think, even know how to do that. So, but if there are dads out there who have skills, other than, soft skills like what I'm talking about, please, by all means, I mean, teach them to both your children, to all your children, as moms should teach all their children to cook and to sew buttons and to mend their clothes
all of it.
And wash them. Everything.
Yes.
We are training these tiny humans to be out in the world by themselves.
And to be self-sufficient, other-dependent, interdependent. And that even reminds me of something else that I heard you say in an interview, which was that, yes, Jesus is Mary's son, but you said he's also my teacher.
Yes.
Like, my child's teaching me things, and I love that.
Because our children, I mean, I feel like that about my child.
Yeah.
She is naturally caring and generous and so thoughtful. For a 4-year-old, she will talk to her aunt and say, "Oh, how's your foot doing?" Because she remembers that she had sprained it.
Oh, that's so beautiful
like that.
To see, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where you and your husband are woven into
oh my gosh,
her identity.
Yes.
Wow.
And caring for her sister now that she has a sister. It's amazing.
Love that. Well, I end every show with one go step, and I love that you've woven ideas in here in story and in your personal story and your experience that dads can say, that stands out for me. I need to remember that with my daughter today. But let me ask you one final question.
Yes.
If you were to say to a dad right now, here's one practical way that a dad today could let his daughter know. Let me say, one practical way that a dad can let his daughter know that she's worth being chosen. What would you tell him to do today?
So many things come to my head, but I guess the one that encompasses them all is listen.
Yes.
I don't know if that's too broad, but
I love that.
It's very... Because as adults, we kind of have our own agendas, we have things to do in the day, and we are going, full speed because we're busy. And sometimes we forget to just stop and listen to what our children are saying, and therefore what they need. And so sometimes... sometimes we have to take a bath, and that's the end of the road. Like, we need to take a bath. But sometimes maybe your child today is a little emotional, or is going through something, or is having a hard time with even knowing what they're feeling. If we could listen and just talk to them and listen, I think
beautiful.
We would find out so many things about them.
Oh, I love that. Oh, my goodness. Thank you, Vanessa, so much for bringing your heart, your story.
Thank you.
Just beautiful.
I loved this conversation
honor
so
to
much.
meet you. Well, today, it's been a joy to have Vanessa. I love your last name, Benavente. Such a beautiful last name, and just such a joy to have you here. Well, On Your Mark today has been When a Daughter Knows She's Worth Being Chosen. You've had so many ideas, dads, that you've heard from her heart, from mine that we want to encourage you to keep investing in your daughter. Well, this wraps up another week's program. I'm so honored to have been here with you all. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the Dad Whisperer, signing off and encouraging you to make today a day where you intentionally and consistently invest in pursuing your daughter's hearts. Go Dads.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. To find out how you can invite Dr. Michelle for your next event, go to drmichellewatson.com and click on the speaking tab. That's drmichellewatson.com. Dr. Michelle loves bringing practical insights she gleaned over the past few decades to audiences of teenagers, young adults, men's groups, or women's forums. Once again, go to drmichellewatson.com. That's drmichellewatson.com for more information on the books, resources, and blogs that she has available. Remember, you can listen to the Dad Whisperer podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. And we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe and leave us a review. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again on the next edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.